And we work at the community level, at the national level, regional and international. From the local to the global, from the global to the local. At the community level, that is where our strength is. Who do we deal with? Stakeholders. Women, of course, the primary target. Different programs in different countries, taking into account the cultural context, taking into account the mental map of the society. The programs of women can be coming together, discussing about health, discussing about tradition, and identifying the positive and the negative aspect of tradition, then coming to the issue of early marriage and female genital mutilation, relating female genital mutilation to pain and suffering, relating it to death through education, information. And the educators and the informers are not outsiders. It is people from within the community itself. We don't leave out men, because women accept this for men. Hence, we have a special program for men to involve them. Then youth. Youth are future parents and victims of the practice. A special program for youth, religious leaders, as has been mentioned already, because there is a huge misinterpretation of religion, misuse of religion. We also have traditional communicators that we train and use as change agents, the singers, the poets who go out to the community, speak about female genital mutilation and the harm that it causes. The excisers, the women and men excisers. As you know, they wield power in some countries, they have the knowledge, they are respected individuals, and they perform excision. So we cannot leave them out. We work with them. We have a special program for them. And once they are converted, when they speak against female genital mutilation, as the minister said this morning, they are listened to. They are listened to when they say, no, we did it without knowing. Now we have stopped practicing, and publicly coming out and symbolically depositing their knives and saying, no more. In Guinea, they laid down their knives, and the first lady of the country, she picked a knife, gave it to the husband, and the husband said, this is going to be a museum piece. This was highly significant. He put it in the museum. So it shows you how excisers can also play an effective role in the campaign. We involve them. Then what do we have at the national level? Of course, the legislators. This issue cannot be dealt with only by non-governmental or civil society organizations. The governments have to be fully involved with policy and with action. So we have programs for legislators, workshops, in order to inform them or bring them up to date about existing international instruments, international and regional instruments, and really pressuring them to have a policy and action at the country level. Traditional rulers in countries like Nigeria and Ghana, the traditional rulers have a say. They have power to wield. So we work with them with a special program to involve them. The medical personnel, as you might have heard now, while the traditional excisers are laying down their knives, in some countries, the midwives and the doctors are picking it up and doing it for money. And this is a big problem, because if doctors continue to do it, if the midwives continue to do it, then FGM is perpetrated and FGM is preserved. It will continue. So we work with this medical personnel. Actually, this month, October, we had a meeting in Nairobi inviting 70 medical personnel from 28 African countries to discuss the issue of medicalization of FGM. And to some of them, this was new. Some said, well, you know, the mothers bring their daughters and we excise for them, the midwives especially. We didn't know it was a danger, it's a tradition, and we do it hygienically. So, this was brought to the open saying that this is against medical ethics. You should not involve yourself in this kind of operation. After a lot of discussion back and forth, finally they came to an agreement to say, we're going to discourage it, to campaign against it, and they formed their own network of medical personnel to continue the campaign at the country, national level. Then we have also at the national level activities like research to assess impact and also to work out strategies that would be effective in each and every country. And we have production of information materials as activities for the national level, materials that are appropriate to each target group. The regional level. We work with the African Union and the Economic Commission for Africa. The African Union, one achievement was that we really worked with the Economic Commission for Africa and the African Union to have an article included in the protocol on human and people's rights, on the rights of women, an Article 5, which talks about harmful traditional practices such as female genital mutilation should be eradicated. Government should take action. That was a big achievement for us. So we lobby, and then we also were present at the conference when the Solemn Declaration on Gender Equality was there. We made sure that female genital mutilation was mentioned. So we worked with this regional office in order to bring on board the government. The Economic Commission for Africa were housed there. Thank you very much. And we worked very closely with the gender division. And here we have Madam Swad, who always helps the Interafrican Committee, giving us legal and advice and the consultation, counseling on the policy aspect. International level, we have the UN Council on Human Rights. It's a long story. I'm not going to bore you how we came to the UN Council on Human Rights. We started out by introducing the issue in a working group called Slavery and Slavery-like Practices. And we were condemned by African delegates for that. Because they said, how can you bring in an issue that is related to our tradition, deeply entrenched in our tradition, as a slavery-like practice? It is scandalous. Me, I was identified, accused as westernized African. You don't respect our tradition. Now you bring it to this working group on slavery and slavery-like practices. And my question was, where else do you want me to bring it? There was no other forum. Very quickly, as a reaction, we were able, with the consent of the Africans, to establish a special working group. The UN was able to establish a working group on traditional practices. This was a success story. And from there on, the issue moved to the Subcommission on Human Rights, the Commission on Human Rights,